Hi guys, I'm Ryan. I'm the head brewer here at Hip Hop. We get a lot of messages through saying, you know, what the hell's gone wrong with my kombucha here, what the issues I've got. I'm just here to show you a couple of things that could go wrong, or practices that you're doing that could make your kombucha turn bad, anything along them lines. Yeah, let's go and have a look then. So guys, for someone looking to brew kombucha for the first time at home, you're going to need some equipment. Now, I recommend getting yourself a glass jar like this one. It's really good to ferment into. Really good to ferment into, really easy to clean at home, and just a really good vessel to start on kombucha at home, really. Secondly, I'd recommend getting some stainless steel utensils. Again, very easy to clean, really easy to use. And you know, I set mine aside at home just specifically for fermentation purposes. I use other utensils for general cooking, etc, etc. So try not to mix those if you can. Secondly, I'd really recommend getting hold of some muslin cloth. I find that putting muslin cloth on top of the jars is the most effective in my personal opinion. Just really allows for that air to go in, for the yeast and bacteria to really kick off the fermentation. Yeah, so obviously I'd recommend getting a tea strainer as well of some kind if you haven't got one already, or a very fine sieve. So when we steep the tea for the first time, it's really easy to get out. The last thing you want is to be agitating the liquid, sticking your hands in there, sticking utensils in there. You know, it really needs to be quick, and the strainer is a really good way to do that. Now again, you'll need starter for your kombucha, which will be held in one of these jars as well. So guys, I'd recommend buying yourself some powder-free gloves. This just stops any kind of contact from the skin onto your product, onto your tools, onto your jars, which again can prevent infections. Just taking that extra step to make sure everything's happy, there's nothing in there that's not meant to be in there. Okay guys, so we're going to talk a little bit about sanitization. Here in the brewery, we always wear these blue nitrile gloves. That just ensures that when we're kind of creating the kombucha, there's absolutely no contact between the skin and the product. We always clean our hands thoroughly in the brewery. However, there is still bacteria on the skin, and this just prevents that coming into contact with any of your product. At home, I'd really recommend getting a packet of these, especially if you are a regular kombucha brewer. It just kind of gives you that peace of mind when you're brewing, you know, and you really don't want your skin in contact with the kombucha. It's never going to be good for it. Here in the brewery, we use peracetic acid as a sanitizing solution. I don't actually think you can get this for home use. However, there is alternatives that I'll speak about in a minute. One really important thing is that you clean your jars thoroughly. Personally, at home, I clean mine with washing up liquid, but I make sure that the remnants of that very liquid is completely washed off before I start using the jar. And also I will sterilize that jar in a low oven just to you know, settle my mind. I know that absolutely nothing is going to come in contact with that kombucha, which isn't meant to. Now, what I was talking about before at home is a quick and easy way to sanitize your surroundings, your jars, you know, anything along them lines when you're brewing, your utensils, is isopropyl alcohol. I do have some here, and it is regularly available. It's not very expensive, and it is a necessity for fermentation at home, brewing at home, anything along them lines. It just gives you that peace of mind to know that your area is definitely clean. Right then, the next thing I'm going to talk about is temperature. So temperature is critical when you're fermenting. You know, I typically keep my kombucha at home from around 20 to 25 degrees, 25 probably being more desirable. The yeast really enjoys this warm environment, becomes very active. So, you know, you'll start seeing a SCOBY typically from 5 to 7 days, even maybe a little bit quicker, if you're at an ideal temperature. Now, if you're storing your kombucha at a slightly undesirable temperature, kind of 20 and under, you are going to see fermentation happen a lot slower. This doesn't mean that your SCOBY is dead or not working. It's just kind of struggling to work at lower temperatures. You know, I've done an experiment at home where I put my kombucha in a cold room, and I didn't start to see any SCOBY forming for about 21 to 25 days, something like that. You know, so keeping a consistent temperature is really important for a consistent fermentation. On the other hand, high temperatures can be fatal to your SCOBY. Probably heating your SCOBY anything above 30 for a prolonged amount of time is really going to affect that, and probably is going to kill it. Now, if you are sure that your SCOBY has been exposed to high temperatures, do a small trial batch with the kombucha, and if you don't start to see you know, your SCOBY forming when it's stored in an ideal temperature, it probably is dead, unfortunately. It's really, really important that you kind of monitor the temperature. It is tough here in the UK to get anything above 30, but what you've got to be careful with especially is adding that starter to your liquid, making sure that the liquid isn't too hot for the starter, which can kill it and, you know, ruin your kombucha. So guys, one thing that we get asked a lot is, does the quality of the tea affect your kombucha? Now, in my opinion, that is 100% yes. You know, here at Hip Hop, we have our own recipe for kombucha, but one thing I love doing at home is experimenting with different teas. You know, what flavor we can get from Earl Grey? What flavor can we get from other teas? You know, what do they taste like when they've been fermented with a particular starter? These things are things that I found really exciting at home. Yes, I do have a life, just about. And you know, one thing I really enjoy as well with these teas is seeing what flavors go well. Every tea has a different flavor, so it'll pair better with fruits, different herbs, different spices, and there's such a huge world out there. Tea is the life of kombucha for me, and there's so many experiments you can do with it in regards to flavoring, carbonation levels. You know, some fruity kind of flavors taste a little bit better with slightly lower carbonation, some with slightly higher carbonation in secondary fermentation. You know, and some teas will pair a lot better with tropical fruits, whereas others more kind of berries. You know, it's an endless world of experimentation, and you know, it's a lot of fun. And once you kind of get into it, you can really start to do some weird experiments where it really gets fun. Personally, I'd recommend always getting the highest quality tea you can get hold of. If you want to use a blend, that's always interesting. But one thing that is really important is the tea quality needs to be really good. I find with lower quality teas, the extraction is never as good, and there's not enough kind of food for the yeast and the bacteria in there for you to create an efficient kombucha, or especially, you know, a really good tasting kombucha, which I'm sure everybody wants to do at home. So guys, if you're making kombucha at home for the first time, probably the main thing I'd say is just go out there and have fun. I know in this video, you know, I've been like, you need to sanitize this, you need to do this, you need to do the other. Like, yes, you do. Like, you know, when you're making kombucha regularly and you want it to come out tasting really good, and you have a specific product that you want to produce in your own head, then definitely all of these steps need to be followed, you know, really, really closely. However, if you're making it for the first time, just go out there, have some fun, see what flavors you can make, you know, see what teas you can use, see what results you can get from different things. And you know, as long as it's fun for you, then that's a good thing. So I love fermenting things at home. I love fermenting things, preserving things, you know, canning things, jarring things. It's one thing that I really love doing at home. And you know, I've got a process now because I've been doing it for so long. But if you're doing it for the first time, like just try it out. Like, show your friends what you've come up with. I came up with a tapachi the other week actually, and I didn't actually get any. I was devoed because everyone drank it and they loved it. And for me, that part of it is so much more rewarding when your friends taste it and your family taste it and they love it. I think that's great, and you know, that's what you should be aiming for, especially if you're doing it for the first time. I think that's grand. Yeah, sound. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you need any more advice, go and have a look over the rest of our channel. We've got plenty of videos on there. Get in contact via social media. We've got a Facebook group about all things fermenting. But just go away and have fun. But if you can't be bothered making your own kombucha at home, you can always buy it from us at Hip Hop with this 20% off voucher. I also hope you took a bit of knowledge from this as well. But as I said before, the main thing for you guys is to have fun. And if you can't be bothered having fun, then come and buy it from us and we'll provide some fun for you. It's lovely to see you. See you soon. And if you want, you can give me an email. If you actually don't, I might not reply. But yeah, get in contact on Facebook.